Hello and welcome back to another episode of Doctor in a Bikini. If you're watching the YouTube, thank you so much. I'm trying to be really good about doing podcast videos, especially with the tour. I have zero other distractions aside from tour and podcast things. So I've actually gotten a lot more comfortable recording everything. Gosh, where do I start? I feel, first off, I need a shower. Let me just say that. This is only what day is it? I don't even know. It's the 13th. Okay, so it's literally been what? We left on the 2nd. So it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet. So when you listen to this tomorrow, it's literally been 12 days. But I'm going to catch you up. If you've been following me on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't already, follow Doctor in a Bikini. Instagram, you can type in Doctor in a Bikini, but my username is all of the shenanigans. So if you follow along, you will get daily video snippets. And then on YouTube or on your favorite podcasting platforms, those are the only places you'll get the full rundown of everything that happened over the week. So if you're here, welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This has been such a crazy journey. I have had all of the highs, some of the lows. I don't think I've ever been alone this long. Not that I've been alone, because I mean, obviously I'm treating the dancers, but as far as like friends and family, right, that aren't just like coworkers. So that's definitely been a good life lesson. So I think for those of you who are listening that have worked on the road, you're going to be able to relate a lot of what I'm going to share today, how I've, I guess for lack of better words, coped with it or gotten over the lows. But first, I will go ahead and highlight just what I did today before I squirrel off, because that's what's top of mind. So right now we are in Portland, Maine. Super fun. I haven't been in Maine since I was like 10, and I have family here, so that feels really terrible saying that. But I'm going to shout out a couple small businesses. So Gus and Ruby, that is like the place for my Virgos, my yellow auras, and my spiritual people. They have all of the stationery and the planners and cute little gifts there. I would show you the gifts, but some people watching and listening, the gifts are for. So I can only show you like some stuff, but I guess I'll start with, so for Gus and Ruby, I got myself like a cute little perfume. It's really cute. It's got, it's like, say cute one more time, Shannon. It's got essential oils and like a little fragrance. I wish, here, you're gonna get a little ASMR here if you're not watching. Maine has been really cute though. Kind of reminds me of like a little hipster town. If you're from here and I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But it was so cute. Down to the coffee place that I went to, it reminded me a lot of Flagstaff. Lots of very cool artsy people, and I don't know, really, really fun today. But I got this perfume called Tiger Moon. I don't think I've ever snatched up something so quick. I'm not a big perfume person. I'm like a put on deodorant and go to the gym person, or maybe I have some peppermint for like calming my patients down to put on me. But if you look up Gus and Ruby, they do online orders, and I loved their store. If I lived here, I would go there very frequently. And then next up is Maine's oldest bookstore. So I actually went to Sherman's today, and I got this 1 line a day notebook that I'm going to start filling out. And again, if you're watching, so it has spots for up to 5 years. And if you're like me, I love remembering my thoughts and I love sentimental things, but I don't love or always make the time for writing a novel a day. Not that I don't like it. In fact, I love notebooks as gifts. I love planners as gifts, and I have the best intentions. But sometimes, especially experiences like this, I don't always have the time or make the time to do more than just like a sentence a day. So really cute if you want to look this up. Again, this is from Sherman's. It's Maine's oldest bookstore. Lastly, let's see. I'll show you Connor's because I know Connor. I love you, but I know you're not watching. you're my husband and I know you're not watching. I got him this cute little beanie. It's Maine's original flag, and he doesn't have green yet. So this was actually a store full of only local artists, so that definitely drew me in. It's called the Maine Souvenir Shop. So those are my 3 recommendations. I'm going to try and share those along the way, so that way if any of you live in the towns that Dancing with the Stars is coming through, and if I'm able to stop by, especially if we're there more than one day, I'll give it a shout out and, grab something and share it on the podcast just so we can support other local businesses around the US. Speaking of, I've also been posting my own stickers all across the US so far, all across. We've literally, again, we're not even 2 weeks in, but I planned for this. So if you have any fun sticker recommendations, places where you think I should put them, if I can make it happen, I will make it happen. But I've been including in my videos where I'm sticking them. So that's been kind of fun. But yeah, so we are in Portland, Maine. Today was our first day off. Oh my gosh, since starting the tour. And it doesn't seem like a long time, but imagine if you literally worked for 10 days straight and then finally got a day off, right? You might be, you're like, I don't want to see people. So it was really fun. It was just exploring today. And ever since Maryland, so I guess this is the perfect time to go into the beginning. We were supposed to start in Virginia, if you've been following along, but unfortunately with the winter and the pipes, I guess there was an issue. Again, this never happens in Arizona, at least unless you live in Flagstaff. Maybe it does, and correct me. I'm so sorry. Megan, you can tell me because I know you're listening and or watching. So there was some pipe issue to where, unfortunately, the water there was no water supply, so the city actually shut down the show. And I think that's good for my listeners from Richmond, Virginia, because I do know there's some new people here from TikTok. So hello, thank you for watching if you are following along. I know a lot of people were so bummed, including us, because we were so stoked to open at that theater. It was amazing. We all created so many memories there. And unfortunately, this city is what shut it down. So Dancing with the Stars company and who runs the company, unfortunately, it wasn't their decision to not have the show. And there may or may not be a rescheduling. There's no updates on that, but I do know they're considering it. So our first show ended up being in Baltimore after show day one got pushed to the next day, which then got pushed to a whole other city because of, water. Definitely reminds you very quickly about cherishing things. I will say it was like between the fires in LA, which I hope for those of you that are in LA listening, I hope that your homes are okay. And if they're not, I'm so sorry. Obviously, everybody who can, if you can donate or help a friend or family member in need, I think that's also very important to say, because I do know that many people are affected by that, including on this tour. So deepest regards, biggest hugs sending your way. That being said, between the fires and the water issue, it was definitely a very real environment at the beginning of the tour. It was very heavy. But we did move on to Maryland. And I think everybody just needed that outlet because, like I said, a lot of people were very much affected back home. And I know they expressed to me they really appreciated just getting to do something when they couldn't do anything from being on the other side of the country. So Baltimore was definitely a really fun show. I've never worked a show until that day, so that was really cool. As far as sharing all my candid emotions, I mean, obviously I was excited for this experience, but if you've been following along or talking to me, I also was really nervous. I mean, and I don't know if I shared this in the last episode. Like I feel so ridiculous because I get that some people get it, but some people don't. And if they don't, then you can just like log off the video. But like I definitely cried in the beginning, not in front of everybody, but in my own hotel room the first night. I just was so nervous being alone on tour, being the only medical provider on staff, being away from everyone for so long. And then, of course, most importantly, I'm the kind of person that really wants to do a good job and I don't want to disappoint anybody. So I think I just needed to get a good cry out of my, just my nerves and my imposter syndrome and just wanting to do good. And also just, again, I can't stress enough, really pushing myself out of my freaking comfort zone. It was just so good, but it was like a Band-Aid, the crying Band-Aid that had to be ripped off, if you're a woman, so once I got past that and we got through the show, it was it was so magical. For the competitors listening, it's like, when you're backstage and you're about to step on to the stage and you can feel the music through your body and you're excited. Maybe you just want to puke. I don't know. Maybe some of you are like, I hate that component of competing, hate that component of dancing. But I know for a lot of you, and myself included, I love it. The performer in me loves the music. I love just the feeling of production. I love that moment where everything just comes together, and it's gone in an instant, but it's so magical, and it's just such a fun experience. And being on the sidelines or in the wings as a medical provider, watching the show that I had watched over and over and over and over and over and over during Tech Week, it still just never gets old, even now. I mean, maybe check in with me after show number 80 something, because there are 80 something shows. For now, it never gets old. I'm dancing a little bit back there. I love watching the athleticism. I love watching the faces that they make, as far as, the acting that goes into their dancing. It's so impressive. Everyone is so nice. They all work so hard. They're all very, very, very respectful to me and of my knowledge and of my expertise. And I just really appreciate them. And I feel so, so lucky to be working around people that treat me that way. Anyways, so that show was so special, because it not only got things rolling and ripped the Band-Aid off per se, but it was like you could feel the magic for everybody performing on stage, everyone experiencing it for the first time in the audience, all of the crew and myself. It was just like, wow, it's finally happening. We made it. Third time's the charm. So I appreciated Maryland for that, especially because, like I said, when I first got there at the beginning of Tech Week, I was emotional. But I think it was the night before, because we arrived in Baltimore and the show was the next day. And the night that we arrived in Baltimore, it was my first time eating alone on the road. Like, at home, I have no problem going to a coffee shop by myself. I'll take myself to a movie. Love going to the gym by myself, but that's usually like a choice. And it was my first night where, because it's so new, because everyone has been friends for years, I know just maybe a couple more people, it's their first tour. And to be honest, when you have people you work with, usually you disperse, and either they want their alone time, or maybe, they haven't seen their friends in a while. So that was my first time where, and me sharing this again, I can't emphasize enough, nobody has ever made me feel like I'm not, a part of the team or special or appreciated. But it was my first night feeling lonely, like, oh, I don't have people here. Like, oh, I'm here to work, but I don't necessarily have friends here yet. And that was definitely like, between eating at the bar and having a drink alone, it was the first night that kind of hit me, where I was like, oh man, yeah, I could really go for a friend or something. With the time difference, Connor was still working. A lot of my friends were still at work. Yeah, I don't know. So Baltimore was special to me because it was ripping the Band-Aid off. That's the best way to put it. And then it was like everything from there, between getting used to show day and what that looks like timing wise as a PT. And I'll go through that too. And then just learning to appreciate in a different way being alone on the road. That was just a whole new experience. So the next morning before the show, because I was lonely the night before, I said, you know what, here's what we're going to do. Just like, if you've gone to college, you have this transition and you figure out your groove. Or once you graduate, you have this transition, you figure out your groove. Maybe you move to a new town and you kind of have to, like, oh, what do? I don't know people here. So my advice is exactly what I had to do whenever I've gone through those transitions, is just pick one thing for you, just one, and start there. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be elaborate. And I thought, I'm a simple person. I love coffee. I love a good cup of coffee. And usually I love finding a magnet or a sticker. So that night I walked myself to a souvenir shop, found a couple of different landmarks. Some things were closed, so I went back the next morning and found what I wanted, found a magnet, and just got some recommendations of, hey, where's your favorite cup of coffee and where's your favorite place to go get some breakfast, and went there. And it wasn't as lonely or sad the next day. I was just like, yeah, that's right. I'm taking myself for some pancakes. And I made some, healthier decisions to, that's the other thing. So it's so funny because a lot of you are like, please tell me that you're not on prep. I'm not on prep, but I am still eating mindfully just throughout the year. Doesn't mean that I don't enjoy, listen, okay? Let me be transparent. Where is it? Like, I've got a candy bar literally on my bed right now, okay? So like, don't be fooled when I say, yes, I'm being mindful, but I am not depriving myself of the little fruits of the road, if you will. Especially because, yeah, a lot of food is catered. So that does mean cute little desserts are catered, but also the basic proteins and really healthy carbs are on the road. So while I guess I'm on the sidebar, things I usually eat in a day, like for lunch or dinner, typically consists of things I would eat on prep, like grilled chicken. Maybe there's some sort of seasoned chicken variation. If I'm not going on the bus, I will take up the salmon or cod option, but I'm not looking to make enemies, so I don't take said fish onto the bus. I feel like that's not a rule, but you just never know. Unless you're traveling with a bunch of bodybuilders, I feel like you just don't take fish onto the bus, especially with let alone pros and celebrities. Like they may have a very strict idea of what's allowed on the bus, so being mindful there. But no bus, usually that's the option I'll take. There has been, turkey, there's been like stuffed bell peppers with some protein, there's been steak, all the potato variations, all the rice and quinoa variations. So point being, it has been very easy to make sure the bulk of my day or the skeleton of my day is a good framework. So that way, yeah, when there are the cute little, mini, I feel like if someone's playing like a drinking game or something with how many times I say cute right now, just like maybe, drink your water. That's one thing. So funny, coming from Arizona, it is so normal for places to fill your water bottle wherever you go. You travel other places and it's like, oh, that is not the normal. Got it. So here I am with my canned spring water. Yeah, so I'm definitely a little dehydrated, but do the best I can on most days with step count, hydration, and just focus on the basics, and don't deprive yourself of the little treats that you see along the way, especially if you're traveling. I mean, maybe if this is like your usual job, maybe be a little bit more strict, but this is not my usual job, so I'm being flexible. Where was I going with that? We were on the topic of the tour. So yeah, Baltimore, that was where I figured out my one thing. I said, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just make it a habit, at least in the mornings, because typically the way my schedule is, I will work with the dancers from noon on, essentially. So the mornings you have off to go to the gym or explore or something, and then basically I'm available during that 12 to 6 time. That being said, this is where it gets kind of tricky because show days can look different based on timing of the venue, when we're allowed in the venue, if we have a double show that day. So yesterday we had a double show. So it's definitely not a perfect world. You don't always have time to explore. Sometimes I don't sleep super well on the bus so far. So I have slept through my alarm a couple of times when I've wanted to go to the gym or go on a walk. But if that was one other lesson, first I said pick one thing. My second one for the road would be flexible, because I promise you it's rarely going to be exactly like you plan it. And if you work on the road, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just a matter of doing your best, and don't waste the stress and inflammation on being upset that it's not perfect. And I think honestly, so far, my body is actually holding up surprisingly well for not only being in off season this long, but being on the road. And I really think it's because of stress management. I think if I were putting a lot of pressure on myself to get everything done perfectly because of a certain show date, it would probably be distributing itself a little differently on my body. So let's see, after Maryland, once we got that show, I believe we went to Uncasville, Connecticut. Yeah. Sorry. Took me a second, especially because I don't have the list in front of me. So the days all blend together. But Uncasville, I loved because we stayed at the giant casino there. So that was really convenient because you just had to walk downstairs and that was the venue. And I didn't realize that because when I got off the bus, that was my first night sleeping on the bus when we got to Uncasville. I did not sleep well. Like I said, I got off the bus at 6 because that's when we arrived at the hotel. And you can tell I literally opened the door. You see where I dropped my bags along the way. Apparently, I threw my hotel key on the carpet and then I collapsed onto the bed in my clothes and I slept for another 4 hours. So, uh, when I woke up, showered, I went downstairs. Apparently, I was completely blind to my surroundings because I did not realize it's like a whole mall down there. So, I showed up, I emerged from my cave, if you will, for a cup of coffee, looking like a wet rat because I was like, oh, I'm going to wash my hair. I go downstairs. I was like, oh, this isn't just a hotel. This is a whole, people are coming here for birthdays, bachelorettes, there's a mall, there's a casino. It was like little Vegas, but Connecticut style. So, I don't mind, but it was just kind of funny because I literally walked down in my slippers, pajamas, and wet rat hair. So that was good. That was good. um, yeah, the venue was awesome. The show was awesome. What did I do in Connecticut? This is what I'm talking about. This is a bold strategy. I'm recapping everything on video without any resource of phone or schedule in front of me. I don't actually, I didn't go anywhere. That was easy. I didn't go anywhere. I stayed inside of the venue. I did some shopping. Like I said, we did have a lot of show time because we had 2 shows, and then it was a lot of treatment, to be honest. So that's one thing too with setup, I guess. So every time I go to a new venue, I have to unpack all of my PT things. So there is the PT case, and inside of that, it has basics. Like one drawer is my first aid supplies, essentially. So obviously, physical therapists, we don't administer medications, but all of the things first aid wise would be in there. So you think your band-aids, yes, there is Advil, Tylenol in case someone's like, hey, like I ran out, like I need to grab some. Like typically they know it's like in that area because I am the sole medical provider for the tour. So medical resources are in my room essentially. And things like, new skin will be in there. If you think of, if you've ever had a cut that needs to be closed up. Let's see what else is in there while I'm blindly thinking off the top of my head. Yeah, all just basic things are in that first drawer. Next one, it's like tape and tape and tape off the wazoo. So you've got, your athletic tape, you've got your Leuko tape, your K tape, you've got pre-wrap, all the different tape variations and shades. You've got things from, ankle braces, ace bandages. You've got it's almost like an ultrasound machine. I can't think of the name right now. I'm so tired. But essentially, it does help provide a cooling or a heating effect. We've got Theraguns. There's the compression boots. There's literally a heat vibrating. looks like it looks like a back brace if you're looking at it. Lots of mats. You've got literally anything under the sun that a PT uses, from lotions, the scraping tools, rollers, foam rollers, dry needling supplies because I am dry needling certified, and gosh, everything. Essentially everything. And if we don't have it, then I run and go get it, or someone helps to go run and get it. That was one question I've gotten quite a bit of too on the internet. My favorite way of it being worded was, I'm confused. Are you a physical therapist or are you a doctor? So I guess while I'm on the topic, in case you're new, Dr. and Bikini podcast, part of the reason why I chose the name was honestly for awareness because just like, I feel like athletic trainers are very valuable. Sometimes people don't understand what an athletic trainer does, or, people might not realize, for instance, what a plumber does all day, but that a plumber is very important. And if you try and DIY a plumber skills, it's probably not going to go well, right? So physical therapist. We do have our doctorate in physical therapy. I don't know why I use plumber. I'm not saying that they have a doctorate, but my point was, it was the first thing that came to mind where it's not my reality. So I'm sure a plumber wouldn't expect me to know their reality. Just like me as a physical therapist, I don't expect anybody to know the ins and outs of what I do. So I don't get offended. I know some people do kind of get upset, when they feel undermined in their career. But the way I explain it is, it's my job to differentially diagnose. I do have to be aware of all tissues in our body. So what I mean by tissues, obviously skin, muscle, tendon, ligament, nerves. You got to think of like your lymphatic system, and I have to be able to differentially diagnose and handle medical emergencies as I see fit. So that required lots and lots of schooling, and hence the title. So yeah, anyways, moving along. So it's my job once I get there to set up the room, unload that rehab case. It's got a lot of different drawers in it. I've got the treatment table. I've got different like heating mat pads, basically like unpacking, moving every single day. And then each time we do go to a venue, PT has their own dressing room. And then I do have a warm-up room. Basically, I help to design warm up and movements curated based off of their injuries as well as the choreography. So one question I got a lot of was, what are some most common injuries? I would say ankles and shoulders are pretty common, but I've treated anything during this tour from neck, shoulder, back, pec, elbow, wrist, finger, toe, foot, calf. Did I say ankle? I think I said ankle. Knee, hip, literally everything under the sun, just because their body is their job. So definitely very demanding. I'm very busy, but I love it. It's a different kind of busy than the clinic, which I love. And I was asked by some providers, like, what does that look like formally? So I don't necessarily have the whole eval, insurance note type thing. Obviously, I do keep track of the status of my patients and what we're working on, our goals, and I do progress their programs as far as, exercises, especially using my knowledge as a bodybuilder as well. And with PT, it just I merge the fitness and medical realms together, which is why I have posing prehab too. So while I'm on that topic really quick, then I'll keep talking about the tour and fun stuff. So if you're new here, obviously as a bodybuilder, there are posing routines. Well, for a lot of people, they don't always know maybe how to fix what they're feeling. So some people just want posing guidance. They say, hey, please just help me with my routine development, help give me some corrections based on what you see. And then some people, they're like, I just feel stiff. This feels painful. I just feel like I don't have awareness. Or, hey, I want some help with my gym mechanics. So while we're working on posing, can I also send you videos of my form at the gym? And then I help to modify or provide feedback based on that. So that's where the posing prehab comes in. And that's me merging the fitness and the medical industries together. So super fun. I'm loving it. My purple aura is thriving with the lack of structure, but also my yellow aura has instilled my own structure between the tour and my posing prehab clients. So anyways, from where did we go from there? We went from Uncasville to New Jersey. It was Morristown, New Jersey. At that point, I felt like, all right, I've got a routine. So I went to a cute little coffee place. Oop, there's the word cute again. I wish I knew. I think it was called the General Store, General Coffee. Really good. This is where I had a little bit of fun. I had a little bit of pistachio and a little bit of white chocolate, but half sweet. That was actually a pretty good combo. And we didn't have a whole lot of time more than just me getting coffee because yesterday was our first double show, which was crazy. Yeah, I won't say too much more, but it was crazy. It went well, but it was crazy. So we got done with that. And after each show, we usually have after show food too, which is super fun. I feel so thankful. I really do feel like they spoil us. As a travel PT, I guess while I'm on the soapbox, because some things I think I forget aren't maybe common knowledge or I haven't shared. So some people have asked me, how were you able to get a job while you're on the road? So I'm strictly a contract provider, meaning I am not anywhere more than 12 weeks at a time, 12 to 13 weeks. So I had one contract and then I took another contract, and that just so happened to be done, right before the Dancing with the Stars started. So that was just some fluke luck in the universe. You are where you're supposed to be kind of moment, because I have been waiting on this the last couple years, and it just down to a 2-week time frame happened perfectly. Those 2 weeks was enough for me to get ready for being on the road, and everything was signed, confirmed like 2 weeks prior. So 4 weeks or less is when everything happened. It was so quick as far as the logistics goes. So as a travel PT, usually how it works is you do get, and this might be different, so I'm speaking to my experience. When I was locally traveling, because even though I was a travel therapist, that doesn't mean you necessarily have to go to different states. That can also mean that within your state, you find contracts at different places, and that's what I do, because I do have a family and a home and a husband, very, very important, and I don't really, at this point in my life, want to go to all different states all the time, all year. Short period of time, absolutely, this is great, but I do love my home, and I do love my friends, and I do love my husband and my family and my dog. So, in no particular order, I just love them all. So, when you have that, if you're within X amount of miles of radius, typically there is some sort of non-taxable stipend. If you're outside of that, I think it's like 50-mile radius. And then you do get compensated differently versus if you are a permanent staff member somewhere. So typically there is a pay difference when it comes to that. So same thing here as far as the structure of getting paid, stipend, things like that, just to compensate for, quote, the inconvenience, I guess, of not being home or working longer hours. And right now my hours, like I said, is 12 on. So that means I could be working on somebody at 10:30 at night. Like I literally worked on one of the dancers while they were in their jammies, and I'm like, it was such a small space, so I'm literally like troll crouching on the floor to get to this person's knee, and it do be like that. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, it's just like quick and dirty. So yeah, that is kind of the life. It's not predictable, but I actually really like that. It's fun. If that doesn't stress you out, if you kind of like organized chaos, then travel PT might be for you. I think it's for me, for sure. I don't know if I can go back to clinic life and only clinic life forever. So yeah, hold on. Taking a quick break for my bougie canned water over here. And this is a new mic, so I'm like, I don't know how much of this thing is going to pick up. So for those of you audio only people, so sorry if you only got my esophagus, because it had to happen. Anyways, so we went from Uncasville, like I said, to Morristown, New Jersey. Not a whole lot of time. And then, like I said, we do usually get after show food. So midday, you'll submit your order. And when I mentioned us getting spoiled, the reason why I said is because breakfast, lunch, dinner, and after show food are pretty much all provided. And for what's not provided, your stipend usually covers, because you do have a stipend for the road. So that is pretty sweet for sure. They do help to set up gym memberships, at least where possible, or some sort of partnership. So that way you can have kind of a general idea on the road of where you want to get your workouts in if a hotel doesn't have them. That's another question I got a lot of, is how often are we on the bus versus the hotel? And it kind of depends. If we are somewhere for more than 24 hours, like Uncasville, then we'll stay, at a nearby facility. But if it's like New Jersey, where we were only there for one day and it was very quick, then typically we wake up on the bus and we go back to bed on the bus and drive to the next destination. Versus right now, you notice I'm in a hotel room, not a bus. Can you imagine if this was the bus? In this nice curtained off room. The bus is pretty cool though. It is really spacious, but it's not this spacious. And I could have gone on the bus to give you guys the full effects. So maybe a future episode I will, just so you can see it more in depth. But I try to wait to make sure nobody's around because I don't really want to infringe on anyone's privacy. Even though this is obviously my podcast, I'm sharing with you as much as you can. I want to respect also the privacy of others because that's one thing I don't think people get enough credit for. I was with one of them. Um, I guess I can share who. So I was with Steven in the lobby. He came up to me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, like thank goodness, someone else," because I was like, I don't know where we're going. This was after a double show. We're all in our gym jams. That's what we call Bowman's pajamas, gym jams. And we're all ready to go home, right? It's midnight and we're about to get on the bus. So it's like, get me out of here, peace. I want my after show food and I'm trying to crash. So comes down, he's like, "Oh, thank God, I didn't know if this was the right place." And I was like, "I don't know either, but I'm glad to see you because that tells me that maybe I'm in the right place." And for like 2 seconds, I forgot because these are my patients. These are my buddies right now. Like usually my patients, like I am buddy with. So I almost kind of forget sometimes that they're not seen as just human beings to some people. And so we're chatting, and all of a sudden, this swarm of women comes up and like, "Oh my God, Steven!" And I told Connor, I was like, I don't know if people give celebrities enough credit because in that moment, like, I got so anxious. The rapid amount of crowding, like if you could imagine if you were in the Titanic, right? You were in the bottom of the Titanic before it sank, but like as it's starting to sink and you see all that water coming in at like a rapid speed and there's like no sign of it stopping, it's just like filling, coming. That was like these people with their phones whipping them all out, getting in the face like, "Stevens, can I get a picture, can I get a selfie, can you get one more, me, please." And the amount of grace this man had, and he was not annoyed in the slightest. He didn't seem overwhelmed. He didn't seem bothered. I was like, I can understand why some people might come off as rude, might come off as tired at midnight. Uh, Maybe they just want to be left alone. They want to be in the Trader Joe's and they just want to find their cookies and like, no one comment on it or ask about it. And I was saying this to some of the other people. I was like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like I was just a bystander having a conversation with a friend and it just escalated and I'm like, so I think just they don't get enough kudos for the grace that's required, the patience that's required, and just like to put it frank, for not freaking the F out because the amount of people and you don't know who's crazy and they all want to touch you and they all want to just like put this in your face. And I'm like, anyways, I just had to say that because again, these people have been so wonderful and so gracious and they love it. They love the people. They do love, connecting with everyone and I hear it, but I also know how tired they are. And it's just like if you were to reflect on a day that you're tired and you don't want people, you likely, if you're listening to this podcast, you likely have the privilege of going home or somewhere, and disconnecting and not every single person that you see like flagging you down and not having to worry about like wearing certain clothes or having to have security to go to the bathroom. It's just nuts. So I just have to put that out there, the respect I have for these people. And yeah, anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk from from a normal person that doesn't deserve to rant about it, but I just feel like they deserve to be appreciated with how wonderful they handle it. Let's see, we went from Morristown, did I say that right? Yeah, to here, right? Yeah. Double show was yesterday, so today was the first day off. And like I said, I kind of recapped Maine already. So we do have a show in Portland on Monday. So if you're listening to this on Monday, we are doing the show day. I'm so sorry for my YouTubers. Like, I just keep like, I don't know what's happening, okay? My body is still acclimating. Things are happening. We're not allowed to go on the bus, okay? So I think things just get confused. Yeah, you can't shower on the bus because the water isn't potable. You have to use a water bottle to, brush your teeth. So usually at the venue is when I'll wash my face. shower, brush the teeth, all that stuff. And it's just the life I live. And if you're looking back at this crazy, here, I'll give you a little inside scoop here. Welcome to my life. It's not perfect. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I pack and go somewhere, it's like less than 30 minutes. I have the best intentions. Everything is all packed, perfect, ready to go. And then it's like you look for one item and to shambles. Your suitcase is everywhere. And it's like, I swear I organized this and it was perfect and it made functional sense. And so far, every time we go to a hotel, it's exactly what happens. I'm like, this time I'm going to be different. I'm going to keep it clean, concise. I'm not going to, throw everything. And then it's like, I'm looking for one sock. And now I'm like, you know what? Forget it. It's a tornado. It's fine. So tomorrow we will check out. We do have a show. That was my point of that. So tonight, when I hop off of here, I'm going to repack it. I'm going to tell myself I'm going to be different next time. And then we're going to see. I guess a little pro tip too with packing. My favorite one so far. There's one, I'll see if I can link it in the show notes. There's one portable makeup bag for the bathroom that I got off Amazon. It is the best ever. I shouldn't say I got it. It was a gift. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a gift. And it makes so much sense because you can compartmentalize everything. So whenever I go to the venue, I have like a separate tote that I've got the all-in-one makeup bag. I'll just say that. All-in-one makeup bag, my shower sandals, and then my packing cubes that are see-through that have my other toiletries, skincare, shampoo, conditioner, all that. So I will say packing cubes and vacuum sealer and the all-in-one makeup bag were the MVPs so far. So that has at least kept me semi in check. Once we go to Portland, I actually don't remember where we go. To be honest, you'll have to follow along on Instagram and my TikTok reviews because I didn't look before I hopped on here. So I'm trying to think, story time, and then I'll log off. Have you ever been stuck in an elevator? Because I have, as of, was that yesterday? No, as of Uncasville. Thank you, Uncasville, Connecticut. At the end of the show day, I get into the elevator and I'm like, yes, it's time to go. It's time to pack. It's time for that after show food. Not an abnormal amount of people, but a group of people got onto the elevator. I'm on the phone with my husband for the first time the whole day. And all of a sudden, the worst, most nightmare feeling happens. We dropped 2 floors. I was like, whoa. And I you know how you're like, you don't know how you'll act in a moment until you act? I don't know what it was. I just kept the phone to my face and I just watched the numbers. I was like, And then it stopped and I was like, hey, Connor, I think we just got stuck in the elevator. And he's like, no, you didn't. I was like, yeah, no, we're not moving. We're not moving. Because I can feel everyone to my right freaking out. And I'm like, freaking out is not going to do me good. It's okay. We're going to get out of here. There's enough people here for a head count. Someone will realize that I'm missing. We can always push like the fire alarm button. It's good. It's a casino. There's medical personnel here. So I'm like, calm down. Everything's good. But then that one little like devil fairy in your other ear was like, you're not the celebrity. They'll leave without you. Someone else will eat your food. So when it opened back up, it was just like only a little bit off, thankfully, but I cannot tell you how quickly I ran out of there. I was supposed to be on floor 17. Floor 3, got off, and I was like, I'll walk up if I have to. But I'm not getting back on that elevator. I'll get back on another elevator, but I'm not getting back up on that one because I still had to get all my luggage and everything. So that was a fun little feature of the tour. Haven't pooped on the bus. Haven't had to use a bag. But I do know some people that in the past, they said that it happens to everybody. Somebody at some point has to use a bag every time. I'm going to try my darndest. I want to keep my dignity and I do not want to poop in a bag on the bus. So far, so good. Like I said, we're less than 2 weeks in, but I'm feeling optimistic. So I think that's all the updates that I have for you. Like I said, if you have any recommendations, check out the website, Dance with the Stars tour. It says all of the cities that we're going to and when. So if you have any recommendations for local businesses that I should check out, preferably if it's coffee related, because I know for sure I will be able to make coffee in my routine every morning. Like I said, some days we're only there for one day. Sometimes we have a double show, or for whatever reason, maybe we got there at a different time. So I don't always have time for every single recommendation, unfortunately. But if it's coffee, I'll make it happen every time. So let me know, keep me posted. And if you have any other questions or want me to share any stories, please feel free to reach out and I will answer what I can while respecting the people around me. But otherwise, I think that's all I got tonight. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed. You get all the notifications. Follow me on all platforms because, like I said, YouTube is the only place that you'll get the full video. And then on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, you'll see my snippets. So make sure you're following on all platforms. Share with a friend, especially if people like on the road journeys like mine. I really appreciate those shares and those ratings. Otherwise, I'll talk to y'all next Tuesday. Bye.